I've been a long-haul truck driver for almost 14 years now. You learn to live in the silence. You get used to the way time blurs on the highway, how night stretches out like it's never going to end, and how sometimes you forget what state you're even in. You stop fearing the isolation, but every once in a while something reminds you that you're very, very alone out there, and that's when things can go wrong. It happened in late October. One of those nights where the moon hangs low and orange over the highway, and your headlights don't seem to reach far enough ahead. I was hauling a dry load through Kansas, headed east. The route was simple, but the hours were long. I had driven for about 10 straight with just a couple short breaks. I was aiming to stop around 3 a.m. at a rest area I knew just off Route 56. It was somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m. when I saw him. I was maybe 30 miles from the nearest town, cruising through a stretch of empty 2-lane road with cornfields on either side and absolutely nothing else in sight. Then out of nowhere, my headlights picked up movement. A man walking on the shoulder, thumb out, face hidden in a hood, no backpack, no flashlight, just him, slowly turning as my truck approached. Now listen, truckers are taught not to pick up strangers. Company policy, safety reasons, common sense, but I've always had a soft spot for people down on their luck. This guy looked like he hadn't eaten in days. His clothes looked dirty, not torn or ragged, just worn down. And something about the way he looked up at me as I got closer, like he already knew I was going to stop, made me tap the brakes. I pulled off just ahead of him and leaned over to unlock the door. He climbed up without a word. His movements were slow, careful, like he was sore or cold. When he got in, he kept his head down. He muttered, "Appreciate it. Just going wherever you're going next is fine." That should have set something off in my head. Most hitchhikers ask for a town or even a direction. But he didn't. He didn't even ask where I was headed. I glanced over. His face was pale, even in the dim cab lights. He wore a knit cap, and his eyes, when he looked at me, were this strange shade of gray. Not blue, not green, just gray, almost colorless. I told him I was stopping at a gas station up the road, maybe 20 minutes away. He just nodded and turned to stare out the windshield. His hands stayed buried in his jacket pockets. He didn't look nervous or sketchy. He looked tired, hollow, but not in the normal way. I tried to make a little conversation, asked if he had car trouble. He didn't answer at first. Then he said, real quiet, "Wasn't mine." I didn't know what that meant. I laughed awkwardly and let the silence settle in again. We drove. The cab was quiet except for the low hum of the engine and the occasional rattle from my dashboard junk. At one point, I offered him a bottle of water. He looked at it, hesitated, then shook his head, said he wasn't thirsty. About 15 minutes into the ride, I noticed something strange in the mirror. Not outside the truck, inside. The reflection showed my seat, the steering wheel, and where he was sitting. But the shape looked off. I couldn't tell exactly why. I glanced to the side. He was still there, just staring out the window like before. But in the mirror, it was like his outline shimmered like a heat wave. I figured I was just tired. We pulled into the gas station, bright lights overhead, one of those 24-hour spots in the middle of nowhere. Fluorescent glow, empty parking lot, not even another car at the pump. I told him, "All right, this is my stop." No response. I turned to repeat myself. The passenger seat was empty, completely. I froze. My first thought was that he got out quickly and quietly. Maybe when I was pulling in, I hadn't noticed. But the passenger door was still shut, locked. I hadn't heard it open. I hadn't heard any movement, just gone. Like he'd never been there. My heart started pounding. I got out, walked around the truck, checked the side. No one. I looked around the parking lot. The station was dead silent, just buzzing lights and wind. I went inside to ask the clerk if she saw anyone get out of my truck. She looked at me like I was crazy. "Nope, you pulled in alone," she said. "Been watching you since you hit the pump. Was wondering if you were lost." I stood there for a moment, stunned. I tried to explain, described him. She insisted again. No one got out. Back at the truck, I opened the passenger door just to prove to myself that I wasn't losing it. The seat was warm. That detail stuck with me. It was still warm, but the seatbelt was unbuckled. I spent the rest of the night in the lot, sitting in my cab, engine off, eyes darting to the mirrors every few minutes. Every little creak made me jump. When morning came, I hit the road again, still rattled. I thought maybe I'd fallen asleep for a moment while driving, had some kind of waking dream. But it didn't feel like that. It felt too real. About a week later, I met up with another driver at a drop yard in Missouri. I told him the story, half laughing, thinking he'd chalk it up to stress. But as I talked, his face went pale. "You saw him," he said. Not like a question, like a statement. He told me stories, other drivers over the years, all over the country, same guy, same vague description. Hitchhiking on lonely highways, asking for a ride, disappearing without a trace. Some said he was a ghost. Others thought he was something darker, something that couldn't die, just kept repeating the same path, looking for drivers to torment. One driver claimed he picked the guy up, drove him 3 hours, and when he pulled into a truck stop, the passenger seat was covered in frost. Another said he felt something grab the wheel mid-drive, almost crashed. No one was there. They call him the passenger. I avoided Route 56 for a long time, changed my delivery routes when I could. But last month I got booked on a job that took me through Kansas again. Middle of the night, same road, same silence. And there he was, walking on the shoulder, thumb out, same jacket, same cap. I didn't stop. I didn't even slow down. But as I passed him, I couldn't help myself. I looked in the mirror. He was standing still now, staring directly at my truck, and he was smiling. I didn't see him again on that run, but ever since, I can't shake this feeling. Like I'm not alone in the cab. Like someone sitting just outside my line of sight. My mirrors creak when they shouldn't. The passenger seatbelt clicks sometimes when I hit a bump, like someone's weight shifts. A few nights ago, I got out to grab coffee and left the truck locked. When I came back, the passenger door was slightly open, just a crack. I always make sure it's shut. Now when I sleep, I dream I'm driving. But in the mirror, there's always a shape, a man, gray eyes, pale skin, waiting, watching. And when I wake up, the seatbelt's buckled, even though I always drive alone.